Good morning, everybody. This is John Scarborough. I wanted to talk a little bit today, guys, about how we like to do our tagging system when we're tagging our cattle. Kind of what works for us, what we've come up with. I did not bring my book down here. Somehow I pulled it out of the four-wheeler and I forgot to put it back in. So I'm not going to show you that just yet. But one thing that we do here, and this seems to work pretty good for us. Now, it's not going to work for bigger cattle companies, so just keep that in mind. But when you got a smaller operation, you've got 60 head or less, and it would probably even work at 100 head, but you get past that, it might not work so well. But when you got smaller herds, this works pretty good for us. We actually kind of have a color code system, and then we also like to date the back of our tags. It's not necessary, but it does kind of help out. And we also like to number the back of the tag. So what we do, I don't know why that's falling out, I kind of hate that. But anyway, what we like to do is we color code everything. So everything on our farm is a red tag, and I don't have it here, but it's a red tag when we buy it. If we buy it and it doesn't have a red tag, then we put a red tag in it. That's just how we like to do it. And then if that cow that we buy is, once it has a calf, we put a yellow tag in it. And now that yellow tag may, if we decide to keep that, say it's a heifer or even a bull, then that tag is going to stay yellow. Now we may put a different tag in it, we may put a bigger tag or whatever, but we're going to keep a yellow tag. And the reason we do that is because we keep the same number. We put the mother's number on there. Now everybody that's had cattle long enough knows that sometimes that tag disappears, that no matter how good the tag is, eventually the number wears off, whatever. And that's why I said it wouldn't work great for a larger herd necessarily. But for us, it works pretty good. If that tag gets real bad, our cattle are actually gentle enough, we can write on that tag while it's still on the ear. But worst case, you could always get another tag every so often and just put a new tag back in there every so often with that same number. I will say that the ones that have the number on them are slightly better. They'll last for slightly longer than these right here because it's actually got an indentation there. But these work fine. Like I said, for us, they work great. But that's kind of our system. That's what we like to do. I think it works really good. But the other thing I like to do is I like to put my big number, and of course I've got this, I actually put this one on backwards. So I'm saying this and I've messed this up. But I like to put my big number where when I'm facing the cow, I can see my cow. Okay. So if I put that in there and then I walk up behind it and I tag it, then that's actually facing the wrong direction. But I do like to have the date on the back, so just the month and the year, and then I do have it written on there. And the reason is because if the baby is standing behind you, okay, you want to be able to see that number regardless. And that has helped a lot of people. They're like, well, that's not necessary, I've never seen that and everything. And it's like, that has helped me a lot. Okay, now maybe it doesn't help you if you got high-headed cattle that are constantly looking at you. Then this is all you need right here. But if you've got relaxed cattle that don't mind you walking no matter where you are, then you can see that tag. No matter where it's at, you're going to be able to see that tag. So I like it personally. The date on the back, that kind of helps a little. You really can't see it unless you write up on it. But for me, that date just kind of helps you because it's like, if you get it mixed up in your book, whatever it is, to me, it just helps. Also taking them into the process, the processor, he likes it too. He likes that, but that's not necessary. But that's just something I do. I skipped a year doing that, and there were several reasons why that date did help, so I've gone back to doing that. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to do a little short video, kind of show you what we do. Like I said, we have the red for purchase. We have the yellow for the tags of the babies that we bought. And then the orange stands for the baby that was born from one we raised. So if we had a heifer that was a yellow tag, and then that heifer had a baby, that's what the orange is going to be. And that's why I'm excited, because this will be our first orange we've ever used. I wasn't going to use orange because it's similar to red, but it was the only tag they had, the only other colors they had. So if it gets too hard to do, we'll end up cutting it out and changing colors. But anyway, I think this is going to work pretty good. I really like it for a small operation, having this color code, because you can always look at a heifer and say to yourself, a heifer or even a bull calf or whatever, you can look at it immediately and see, okay, 115, I know who the mother is, I know who the grandmother is. I can see right there in my field. I don't just have to look through my book. I can stand around, walk around in my field and see all of those calves everywhere. This 115 right here, we have more 115s in our herd than any other cow. Okay, the one we bought a group of cows. It was our first group of cows. I mean, I had owned cows before that. My wife had owned some, but it was our first group when we built this herd. And we bought this around 2016, I think. We got it, and 115 was one of those cows. Okay, and so we have kept not all of her babies, but we've really liked all of her babies, and then we started keeping her babies probably about 2.5, something like that. About 2 years ago, we did. So we've got several generations of her calves on here. We've got her heifer, which just had a baby, and then we've got her yearling, and then we've got a new calf from her this year, and now we've got this calf, which is from her original baby here. So that means if I've got one that I'm letting that many stay on my farm, that means that she is producing very well. All of her babies look good, all of her heifers look good, all of her bull calves look good. You know, that's the reason we didn't keep the first one, because it was a bull calf. That's right. But all of them look good. And incidentally, just because it makes a good heifer or a good baby to raise as a heifer does not mean it's going to make a good bull. Okay, so just because you would keep it as a heifer, if that, like this 115, I'm keeping all of her heifers, I'm not going to keep her bulls, okay? Because even though they look good as bull calves, when you steer them, that doesn't mean they're going to come off as good bulls. Okay, so that's a whole different story for a different day. We'll talk about bulls on another day, another video. But I just wanted to show you all that, guys. It's very exciting for me. You know, it's kind of feels like you're moving up a little bit when you can do stuff like that. You know, it's the first time that we've ever had a baby born from the baby. And what's interesting about this one is this one was also born from our bull. So this heifer was also born from our bull. So that means that we raised the baby, and we raised the bull and the heifer that this baby came from. So that's really good, because that means that we didn't purchase any of that. We raised all of that. So any babies that come from those, you know, those are a lot. You're getting more income from your, you know, it's more, there's a much better percentage, you know, because for every time when you buy a cow, let's say you spend, you know, $1,500, $1,100, you know, whatever. Say you spend, we'll just do a simple number. Say you spend $1,000 as a heifer, an easy round number, okay? You spend $1,000 on that heifer. Every time you get a calf and you sell that calf, that's the percentage of money, that's your percentage of return that you're making annually, because you sell that calf, you know, let's say you sell that calf, you might sell it for anywhere from 500. Sometimes you get good years, and you know, if you're taking them to the market, you might sell them for 500. You might keep it longer. You might sell it for 1,000. I think right now calves are actually bringing pretty good bit. Some people might be bringing close to $1,000 for a 500-pound heifer. That doesn't happen all the time. But that's, you know, so the point is even if you did that, that's still a certain amount of return. That's X amount of return on your heifer, okay, on your cow that you bought, that $1,000 investment that you made, okay? But on one that you raised yourself, and then from a bull that you raised yourself, now you're talking about return on very, very little. You know, you've got the hay that you've put in it and all like that. You've got all the maintenance costs that you put in it, but that's it. Here on our farm, guys, we rarely need medicines. We rarely need anything like that. And all of our heifers that we've kept them because they didn't need any medicine. So they've never been wormed. Not one time have these heifers been wormed. The bull calf has not been wormed. You know, all of this stuff, we haven't had any, we didn't have to do it. So if it has to be wormed, we're not going to keep it. Now, we've got stories for other days on that, so we're not going to talk a lot about that subject, because some of them we do worm if they need to be wormed. But all the heifers we're keeping are ones that can hold their flesh without wormer. They don't need help. So the point in that is that means that we don't have to spend, there's not a lot of money in this calf right here. Not a lot of money at all. You know, you don't have income in the purchase of the heifer. you don't have very much, all you got is what it's going to cost to put hay through it, and then the cost of the hay going through this other animal, So that's a lot better. Once you start getting a bunch of these coming in, you're doing good. You can start doing good. I mean, that's not great, but that's why a lot of people talk about the cattle business, say there's no money to be made. And the way to make money in the cattle business is after years of building up your herd and getting to where you own cattle that you raised on your farm. That's when you start to see money, is when you're raising the cattle. You've raised the heifers, you've raised all of this. And there are plenty other ways. So I'm not saying that's the only way, but the point is that's a good way right there to start seeing that. So anyway, guys, as always, like and subscribe.